Tonight, as shadows gather and silence deepens, you find yourself wide awake, heart pounding, mind racing, surrounded by questions that will not quiet. Everyone else seems wrapped in peaceful sleep, but you lie there, burdened by anxieties that cling like shadows to your soul. It does not mean you are weak. It means you are human, aching for rest, for reassurance, for something greater than this storm inside you. This night prayer is for the one whose thoughts spin endlessly, whose longing is not just for sleep, but for peace. Let your breath slow. Inhale deeply, and with each exhale, let the noise fall away. Let these words become your sanctuary, a sacred space where the shepherd's voice reaches you in the stillness. God says, "Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest." You have nothing to prove tonight. This is not a moment for strength. This is a holy invitation to surrender, to lay every anxious thought before the Father who already holds you close. Surrender is not defeat. It is the grace of giving God what you cannot carry. You are not alone in this darkness. You are sheltered beneath the wings of Psalm 91, where His faithfulness becomes your shield. Psalm 23 reminds you that you lack nothing, because the Lord is your shepherd, even in the night. Let the wisdom of Pope Leo the Cancerous echo in your spirit. True sleep is not escape, but trust. A sacred surrender into God's eternal watchfulness. He does not sleep. He does not abandon. As you breathe now, let each breath become a quiet act of faith. God, I give you what I cannot fix. Let go of your fear of not being enough. Let go of needing to control. This night is not about perfection. It is about presence. God is already here. His love keeps vigil when your eyes cannot close. His peace surrounds you, even when your world feels uncertain. You have not failed by feeling afraid. You have simply arrived at the place where His peace can find you. Where do you feel the weight of anxiety most deeply tonight? What anxious thought can you release into God's hands, even for these next few moments? What would it look like to trust His voice instead of your fear? Pause with these questions, not as burdens, but as invitations. Let the Holy Spirit whisper comfort into the places where your thoughts once echoed loudest. You are not too much for God. You are not too broken to be held. In this quiet hour, let your soul begin to loosen its grip on worry and find rest in a love that never lets go. In peace I will both lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. If these words bring peace to your spirit, type rest below or share your prayer for tonight. Your voice may be the comfort someone else longs to hear. Stay with me through this journey, and let God's message of peace break through your sleepless night. There is a shelter that endures through every shadow, a holy refuge where fear loses its grip and restless thoughts dissolve in the quiet presence of God. As you lay your head upon the pillow, the world's worries may try to crowd in, whispers of tomorrow's unknown and yesterday's regret. But God's message is not rooted in your fear. It speaks with authority and tenderness. You are covered, you are held, you are safe. The Almighty Himself stands watch over you, His eyes never heavy with sleep, His arms always ready to cradle your soul in peace. Psalm 91 promises that those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. And that promise belongs to you now. Every sleepless sigh, every unspoken prayer is received by the one who never turns away. You are not invisible in the night. God sees you, He knows you, and He wraps you in the certainty of His nearness. When anxiety tries to tell you that you are alone, remember God's message is unchanging. My child, I am with you. I am the keeper of your night. Let this truth settle into your soul. You do not need to strive to be worthy of rest. Sleep is not a reward for perfect faith, but a gift freely given to those who trust. Even if your faith feels faint, your longing for peace is enough to draw you into God's arms. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that anxiety is not failure. It is the soul reaching for divine assurance, craving what only God can provide. Let your heart be comforted by the shepherd of Psalm 23, who leads you beside still waters and restores your soul. Speak these words softly. God says, I am safe in your presence. I release my racing thoughts, my restless heart, and my longing for peace. Cover me in your unshakable calm. With each breath, let go of the burdens you were never meant to carry. Your sleep tonight is not weakness. It is sacred trust. It is the holy act of letting God be your refuge, your protector, your peace in the stillness of the night. If you believed God Himself was guarding your rest, how would that change your night? What fear can you release into His care even now? Let these questions linger, not as burdens, but as quiet invitations to shift your heart from fear to faith. Let God's Spirit whisper into the places where anxiety has been too loud. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Psalm 121:3-4. If your soul has found comfort here, type rest as a sign of hope, or share a word of prayer for someone else searching for peace tonight. Your honesty may become the light that guides them home. You are never truly alone, not even for a moment. God's message remains. His peace is deeper than your fear. His love is stronger than your restlessness. And His presence is your shelter until the morning breaks. Stay with me now, and let this peace carry you gently into rest. Sometimes the darkness makes every anxious thought feel louder, turning the quiet night into a storm of what-ifs, regrets, and fears you can't escape. But this is your sacred invitation to step away from the noise and into a different kind of stillness, where God's message becomes the calm within your chaos. Breathe slowly now and feel your soul begin to settle beneath the shelter of Psalm 91. He shall cover you with His fetters, and under His wings you shall trust. This is more than poetic comfort. It is the living promise of protection for every sleepless heart. When your thoughts spin with uncertainty about tomorrow or sorrow from yesterday, picture those fears dissolving beneath His wings. Night prayer for anxiety isn't about overcoming everything on your own. It's about surrendering what you were never meant to carry. God's message tonight is clear and tender. You are not alone in this storm. You don't have to calm it by yourself. You are covered, held, and kept in peace by the one whose strength holds steady, even when yours fades. With every breath, let your soul come into alignment with peace. Inhale deeply, inviting God's presence into every place of fear. Exhale slowly, releasing the burdens that have stolen your rest. This is Christian meditation for sleep, a sacred rhythm of letting go, where each breath becomes a prayer and each moment is a movement toward peace. God says you are not defined by your anxiety. You are beloved, safe, and anchored in grace. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that true peace doesn't mean the absence of trouble, but the presence of divine assurance in the midst of it. Imagine Jesus standing at your bedside, speaking stillness into your thoughts, silencing every wave with His word. Psalm 23 reminds us that the shepherd leads us beside still waters and restores our soul even when the world remains loud. Let this truth be your anchor tonight. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. You are not wandering in the dark. You are being led into peace, one breath at a time. What storm is raging most loudly in your heart tonight? What would happen if you invited God's message into that space? Not to fix everything immediately, but to remind you that you are not alone in facing it. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Psalm 91:4, KJV. If your soul is comforted by this truth, type rest below or share the storm you are facing in the comments. Your honesty might become the invitation someone else needs to find their own peace. Stay here with me as we journey deeper into the quiet power of God's promises. Let His love wrap around you like a blanket in the night, and let every word, every breath, bring you closer to the rest your soul has been longing for. The sharpest sting of anxiety is the feeling of being utterly alone, lying in the darkness with a racing heart, convinced that no one sees the storm stirring quietly inside you. But this night prayer carries God's message directly into that place of loneliness. You are not alone in the night. No matter how heavy the silence feels or how deeply your mind is troubled, God's presence saturates this moment. His love does not slumber, and His watchfulness never fades. This isn't just hopeful language, it is the living truth woven through every promise in Scripture. Psalm 91 invites you to dwell in the shelter of the Most High, not as an outsider seeking help, but as a beloved child hidden beneath His wings. Even now, He is close enough to hear every unspoken cry, to see every tear you thought no one noticed. You are not overlooked, you are not forgotten. The God who formed galaxies holds your heart with the same care, the same nearness, the same unwavering love. You may hear echoes from past wounds, trying to convince you that peace is for someone else, that your anxiety disqualifies you from God's comfort. But His message is steadfast and personal. Even if the world sleeps through your pain, I do not. I am awake. I am with you. The shepherd of Psalm 23 walks through every dark valley at your side, His rod and staff guarding your spirit, guiding you gently back to peace. Lisa Bouvier teaches that God's nearness is the remedy for fear. It transforms nights of dread into places of rest. The Lord misses nothing. He counts your tears. He collects your worries. He holds your heart close and breathes calm into your chaos. As you settle beneath the covers, let the quiet rhythm of Christian meditation for sleep draw your attention back to what is true. God is here. His presence is real. His peace is greater than your fear. His love does not leave, not for a moment, not for a heartbeat. When have you felt most alone in your battle with anxiety or sleeplessness? What would it mean to believe that God is holding you, even now? Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Isaiah 41:10, KJV. If this truth reaches your soul tonight, type rest below or share your story. A quiet word from your heart could be the very comfort someone else is longing for. Stay with me and let this sacred space become your shelter. We were never meant to walk through the night alone. God walks with us, watches over us, and whispers peace until the dawn. Let each word bring you nearer to rest. Let each breath be a reminder. You are seen, you are safe, you are not alone. In the quiet sanctuary of night, as you seek God's message of peace for your own anxious heart, remember that this longing for rest echoes across the world. Countless souls lie awake tonight, not just with sleeplessness, but in the grip of fear, sorrow, and loss. Children caught in chaos, families torn apart by violence, and the innocent left to suffer in silence. Let your night prayer stretch beyond the walls of your room, expanding into a sacred act of intercession. Come, assume your sacred act of intercession. God's love knows no borders. His presence reaches every wounded place. Tonight, as you lay your burdens before Him, let your heart also carry those who cannot cry out, those whose pain is too deep for words. Psalm 91 assures us that God covers us with His feathers and shelters us beneath His wings. Not only you, but every soul in need of refuge. Let your meditation become more than personal. It is a river of compassion, flowing outward to touch the unseen suffering of the world. Pause here with me. Holy God, we lift to you every weary soul in every corner of the world tonight. We pray for those in war zones, for children who fall asleep in fear, for the brokenhearted who see no morning ahead. You alone are the healer of wounds we cannot see, and the restorer of peace no human hand can secure. Wrap the innocent in your mercy. Let your spirit move through the ruins, through the silence, through the aching spaces where comfort is needed most. Bring rest to the anxious, sleep to the sleepless, and hope to those drowning in despair. Where hatred has torn lives apart, rebuild with compassion. Where pain has numbed the heart, breathe life again. Let your message be heard in the depths of the night. You are not forgotten. You are loved. You are held. As we pray for ourselves, God, keep us open. Let our hearts remain soft enough to weep with those who weep, and strong enough to hope on their behalf. Let this intercession become part of your nightly rhythm, a holy offering where seeking rest for yourself becomes an act of blessing for others. Psalm 23 reminds us that even in the presence of enemies, the shepherd prepares a table of peace and goodness that cannot be stolen. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that deep healing begins when we let love move through us, both received and given, softening anxiety and anchoring peace. Whose pain do you carry with you tonight as you ask God for rest? What burdens can you lift up as prayers for the world? The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18, KJV. If this prayer has touched your spirit, type rest for yourself or peace for others in the comments. Your faith may become the hope someone else clings to tonight. Stay with me as we journey deeper into God's presence, letting His love become not only your comfort, but a healing balm poured out over a world that is still aching to be made whole. As midnight softly settles across the earth, God's message comes with sacred clarity. Lay down your worries, come as you are, no mask, no striving, bringing your anxious thoughts, your regrets, your fears about what tomorrow may hold. This is the invitation at the heart of night prayer, to release the burdens that were never yours to carry alone. You are not expected to fix everything. You are simply called to trust the one whose hands shaped the stars and still reach for you in your weariness. In this quiet space, faith does not have to roar. Even the smallest whisper of surrender is enough. Christian meditation is not an escape from reality. It is the brave act of meeting God right in the middle of it and letting His peace breathe where your worries have tried to take root. Psalm 91 declares, "You are sheltered beneath His wings, a place where even the deepest fears find no power." Let your breath slow now. Let your muscles relax. Speak your worries aloud or silently offer them to the one who never tires of hearing your heart. God says your cares are never too small, never too many, never too heavy for His love. The promises of Psalm 91 echo in the stillness. You are shielded from the terrors of the night, protected by the presence of the Almighty. As you rest, visualize each worry being gently placed into His hands. Your fear, your grief, your uncertainty. You are not alone in the releasing. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that true rest is not a luxury, but a spiritual necessity, a sign of holy trust that God is working, even as you sleep. Each breath becomes a prayer. Each letting go becomes a declaration. God, I trust you more than my worry. There is peace waiting to settle over your soul, not because your life is fixed, but because you have placed it into the hands of the one who never fails. What burdens are you ready to release tonight? Can you picture God's hands open before you, steady and strong, ready to receive all that weighs you down, casting all your care upon Him, for He careth for you. 1 Peter 5:7 KJV. If you're surrendering your worries tonight, type rest below as a quiet act of trust, or share a prayer for someone else who may need the courage to let go. Remain here with me a little longer, letting God's peace soak into the places that ache. This night is not the end of your struggle. It is the beginning of something softer, something sacred. It is the first step into deeper surrender, deeper trust, and deeper rest in the presence of the one who loves you without condition and carries every care until morning comes. Sleep is God's quiet remedy for what the day has worn thin, and tonight His message calls you into sacred surrender. If your mind is replaying worries or clinging to unresolved burdens, remember, surrender is not weakness, it is trust. Night prayer for anxiety is not just a path to rest, but a threshold to spiritual renewal, where fear gives way to faith and anxiety is exchanged for the assurance that you are held by the one who calls you beloved. As you lie beneath the covers, gently affirm, God says, my heart can rest now. I am not alone. This moment is not about earning peace or proving strength. It is a holy invitation to bring your whole self, tired, anxious, uncertain, into the presence of perfect love. Let yourself exhale deeply, releasing control, and know that even in the silence, God is working, holding, and healing. Let the ancient rhythm of Psalm 91 be your gentle lullaby. He will give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. Imagine that truth forming a protective shield around your room, transforming it into a sacred refuge for your soul. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that true courage lies in relinquishing control and allowing God's nearness to soothe our unrest. You are not required to solve every fear or find every answer before you can sleep. God's message tonight is simple and beautiful. Sleep itself is an act of holy trust, a quiet surrender that says it is safe to let go. Invite the Spirit of God to enter every anxious corner of your mind, to breathe stillness over your racing thoughts, and to hold you steady through the night until dawn's first light brings renewed hope. Where do you feel your mind resisting rest? What fear is gripping your body tonight? How would it feel to let go, even for this one moment, and trust the nearness of God? The Lord gives his beloved sleep. Psalm 127:2 KJV. If you're choosing trust tonight, type rest below or offer a short prayer for someone else longing for peace. Your vulnerability may become the light another weary soul needs in their night. Remain with me as we walk further into the quiet heart of God's presence. Each breath, each prayer is a step toward restoration. As sleep renews your strength, remember, God's love surrounds you like the night sky, vast, steady, and constant. His message is your covering, your anchor, and your hope until the morning breaks. There's a reason peace is called a gift. It cannot be earned by effort or held through perfection, but is freely given by the God who meets you in the night. As this day comes to a close and your soul aches for rest, God's message is not a command to be stronger, but a gentle whisper. Let peace be given to you. In this sacred stillness, when your thoughts swirl and your heart feels weary, remember that peace isn't reserved for the untroubled. It is for you, right here, right now. The Psalms for sleep, Psalm 23 and Psalm 91, proclaim that all who dwell in the presence of God are covered by his peace. Christian meditation for sleep isn't about silencing your mind, but filling it with truth. You are not alone. God's peace is near. Allow that truth to soften your spirit. Let this be your daily prayer, not a striving, but a receiving. Breathe deeply and let each word become a sanctuary. Imagine every anxious prayer rising like incense, and every breath declaring trust in the one who holds the night. Pope Leo the Cat reminds us that peace is not found in the absence of trouble, but in the nearness of God. And tonight, his nearness is your covering. As you settle into your bed, let go of the need to earn anything. Let go of the thoughts that say you must be more or do more before you are worthy of rest. God's love surrounds you in this very moment. Let his message become the melody of your night. I give you my peace, not as the world gives. Let not your heart be troubled. Sleep may have felt elusive, but now it is yours. Not because the world is quiet, but because your spirit has found its resting place in the presence of the Almighty. This gift is for all, the anxious and the faithful, the restless and the ready. What would shift inside you if you truly received peace as a gift tonight? Where in your spirit are you still striving instead of simply letting go? Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John 14:27 KJV. If your heart is open to this peace, type rest in the comments or lift a silent prayer for someone else who needs it. Let your willingness to receive become an invitation for others to believe. Stay with me as we continue in prayer, letting this night unfold as a sacred encounter with the God who never leaves, who never sleeps, and who always comes with peace in his hands. There is a comfort that does not fade with the ticking clock, a holy presence that stays through every sleepless hour. When anxiety coils tight around your chest and silence feels too loud to bear, remember this: you are not left to carry it alone. God's arms are strong enough to hold the weight of your fear, your tears, and the burdens you've hidden even from yourself. Night prayer for anxiety is not just a practice, it is a lifeline into the arms of the one who never sleeps. As thoughts circle through worries and what-ifs, let the anchor of Psalm 23 still your spirit. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. This isn't just poetry, it's God's message tonight. You are not walking through this night by yourself. His watchful eye and steady hand are your constant shelter. You do not have to stay strong to be safe. The sleepless hours are not proof of weakness. They are invitations to lean into a strength that is not your own. God's message is not about pretending to have peace. It's about resting in the arms that provide it. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that real healing does not begin with control, but with surrender. Christian meditation for sleep is not about fixing every thought. It's about picturing the hands of God cradling your anxious mind and whispering calm into your restless spirit. With every deep breath, you are not failing to sleep. You are learning to trust. Each prayer, each moment of stillness is a step deeper into the assurance that you are not forgotten. You are guarded, cherished, and held, not by chance, but by covenant. The eternal God is your refuge, and underneath are everlasting arms. Reflection. How often do you carry the weight of night as if it's yours alone to bear? What would change if you let God hold you instead? Scriptural affirmation. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Deuteronomy 33:27, KJV. If this message brings your soul comfort, type rest below, or offer a prayer for someone who longs for safety in the dark. Call to action. Stay close as we continue this sacred journey. Let every word be a quiet reminder. You are not alone in the night. God's arms are always ready, strong enough to carry what you cannot, gentle enough to soothe what no one else sees, faithful enough to stay until the morning light breaks through. The mind seldom quiets easily at night. Worries replay, thoughts linger, and the heart stirs with what was left undone and what lies ahead. Yet into this noise God speaks, not with thunder, but with stillness. His message tonight is a call into holy silence, where your soul is not asked to be empty, but open. Night prayer for anxiety becomes the sacred threshold where meditation shifts from struggle to surrender. You do not need to control every thought. You need only redirect them into God's steady hands. Let your breath become prayer. With each inhale, receive His presence. With each exhale, release the weight of fear. Psalm 91 assures you, under the shadow of the Almighty, no noise of worry can drown out the voice of peace. Tonight, let yourself be wrapped in that promise, held in invisible arms that whisper, you are safe, you are loved, rest. Let the quiet deepen now, not as absence, but as invitation. Stillness is not the enemy of healing, it is its beginning. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that true meditation is not about escape, but about entering into sacred dialogue with the God who is already near. As you lie in bed, breathe deeply. Let Scripture speak where words fail. He leadeth me beside the still water. These verses are not distant poetry. They are your present reality. Each breath becomes a step away from panic and toward peace. You are not alone in this work of release. God's message today is simple and sure. The night is holy ground, and your rest is a sacred act of trust. Every restless soul, every weary mind, every anxious heart is welcome here. Reflection. When did you last know silence not as emptiness, but as presence? Can you imagine God's message filling your stillness instead of your fear? Scriptural affirmation. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10 KJV. If this meditation brings you closer to peace, type rest below or share a prayer for someone else seeking silence in their soul. Call to action. Stay here in this sacred stillness. Let every breath lead you closer to the peace that passes understanding. As you surrender into healing sleep, let silence be your friend, and let the quiet voice of God be the melody that carries you through the night. In the stillness of night, a quiet truth rises above the noise of anxiety. God's message declares that in Him you truly lack nothing. The world may whisper that rest must be earned, that peace comes only when every problem is solved. But Psalm 23 offers a deeper promise. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. This is not a verse for daylight only. It is a declaration for the weary, a lifeline for the sleepless, a refuge for the anxious heart, a refuge for the anxious heart. Tonight, let its simplicity become your comfort. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not without help. Night prayer for anxiety is more than a routine. It is your return to the care of the shepherd who sees every tear, hears every unspoken cry, and surrounds you with provision in the darkness. Even now, when peace feels distant and your soul feels dry, God's message gently reaches you. I am near. I am enough. I am watching over you. Release the quiet pressure that tells you rest is a reward or peace must be earned. It isn't. God's care is not conditional. Lisa Bevere teaches us that real faith blooms when we allow ourselves to be led, not pushed by fear, not driven by performance, but guided in love. Christian meditation for sleep is not about controlling the night. It's about surrendering every anxious space to the shepherd who never sleeps. Imagine him walking beside you now, leading you not with urgency but with patience, whispering, "You are safe with me." Even if your mind races with unfinished thoughts, his care remains constant. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing begins when we stop striving and start receiving. Your sleeplessness is not a sign of failure. It's an invitation to lean into the arms of the one who already knows your needs, already holds your healing, and never lets go. Reflection. Where do you feel the ache of lack most deeply tonight? What would change if you truly believed that in God's care nothing essential is missing? Scriptural affirmation. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1, KJV. If this brings peace to your heart, type rest below or offer a quiet prayer for someone still seeking that assurance. Call to action. Remain close on this sacred journey. Let the peace of Psalm 23 become your companion through every restless hour. Trust that lacking nothing isn't about having every answer. It's about being held by the shepherd who carries you with unwavering love, even in the silence of the night. Night has a way of amplifying fears, those quiet doubts and unanswered questions that stay hidden in the light but rise loudly in the dark. As stillness deepens, your heart may find itself wavering between fear and a longing for peace that feels just out of reach. Yet this, right here, is where the journey from fear to faith begins. God's message tonight is not one of shame, but of invitation. Come honestly, bring your anxieties, and lay them before the one who never tires of listening. Night prayer for anxiety is not about pretending everything is okay. It's about trusting that even in the middle of your fear, God is present and His love does not waver. The presence of fear is not a failure of faith. It is the soil in which faith can grow, even if that faith feels small and trembling. Or set aside the day now to create freedom for yourself. Don't let your fear prevent you from success. Let your heart lean into the eternal promises of Psalm 91 and Psalm 23. The shepherd never leaves his sheep to wander alone in darkness. He walks beside them through every valley, guarding, guiding, and comforting. Christian meditation for sleep means allowing God's message today to speak louder than your anxiety, letting each breath become an act of trust, each silent prayer a surrender to His care. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that faith thrives not in the denial of fear, but in the courage to turn toward hope. Tonight, take that sacred step, one breath at a time, into trust. Welcome the Spirit of God to exchange your panic for peace, your worry for stillness, your fear for the assurance that the one who holds the universe is also holding you. Meditation becomes your offering, your way of releasing what you can't control and receiving the peace that passes understanding. Reflection: what fear has clung most closely to your heart tonight? How might even a flicker of faith help you rest in God's unchanging care? Scriptural affirmation: what time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. Psalm 56:3, KJV. If this prayer speaks peace to your soul, type rest or share a quiet word for someone else searching for calm. Call to action: stay close on this journey. Let each prayer draw you nearer to God's message, and every quiet moment carry you further from fear and deeper into the healing peace only He can give. Tonight, God's message for your weary soul is both gentle and profound. You are invited to release anxiety and welcome true rest. The sleepless mind longs for answers, certainty, and control, but God's invitation goes deeper, to trust that His love and presence are enough, even in the absence of resolution. Night prayer for anxiety is not a performance or an escape. It is a sacred surrender, a holy moment when you no longer carry your burdens alone. In the secret shelter of Psalm 91, you are held and protected. Picture yourself placing every anxious thought at the feet of the shepherd in Psalm 23, believing He knows your needs before a word is spoken. God's message today is not that you should hide your struggles, but that you are free to release them into His care. This rest is not earned by effort or perfection. It is a gift received by faith, in the quiet willingness to let yourself be loved and carried. As you settle beneath the covers, let your breath become a prayer of surrender. With every exhale, release what weighs you down, every fear, every worry, every racing thought. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that real rest grows from radical trust, the quiet belief that you are never alone in your vulnerability. Christian meditation for sleep is a sacred exchange, anxiety handed over, peace received. Instead of wrestling with the night, let God's presence wash over you, calming every storm within. Let this be a turning point. You are not the only one praying tonight. Others too are seeking peace, holding space beside you. And in this shared stillness, God's mercy arrives, not because you have earned it, but because He delights to give it. Let go of the fear that rest must be earned. Let the love of God hold you until morning breaks with new mercy. What anxiety are you willing to lay down tonight, believing that God's promise of rest is truly for you? How might your night change if you simply received peace as a gift, without needing to understand every detail? Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28, KJV. If you are surrendering tonight, type rest below, or offer a prayer for someone else who is weary. Remain on this sacred journey with me. Each breath, each prayer, a step closer to the heart of God. In His presence, anxiety fades, and true healing rest becomes not just possible, but promised. Night brings with it a special kind of vulnerability, a quiet awareness that the world is vast, fragile, and filled with unknowns. But in the stillness, there is also a sacred promise that stands firm. You are protected in the shadow of God's wings. As darkness settles and your soul searches for peace, anchor yourself in the assurance of Psalm 91. Those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High are not left exposed. They are sheltered, surrounded, and lovingly held. God's message today is soft but strong. You are safe here. No harm can reach your soul while you rest beneath my care. Night prayer for anxiety becomes a holy shield, not just for your body, but for your thoughts and emotions as well. This is more than a nightly ritual. It is a sacred return to the refuge of God's love, where you are never alone and never unguarded. Picture yourself resting beneath the protective wings of the Almighty, every fear slowly dissolving in the warmth of divine comfort. Pope Leo Chaos reminds us that true protection does not mean an absence of trouble. but the constant nearness of God through every shadowed hour. Each breath becomes an act of faith. Inhale His promise of security. Exhale the weight of what you cannot control. Let your room be transformed into a sanctuary of peace, each corner touched by God's presence, every whisper of fear quieted by His love. Christian meditation for sleep is not just about calming the mind, but about remembering who holds you through the night. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are tucked into the quiet safety of God's care, where anxiety gives way to hope and stillness becomes holy ground. Where do you most need to feel God's protection tonight? How might your rest change if you truly believed you were being held beneath His wings? He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91:4, KJV. If this brings peace to your soul, type rest in the comments, or lift a quiet prayer for someone still searching for this refuge. Stay close with me, letting each word deepen your awareness of divine safety. As you close your eyes and drift towards sleep, know this with quiet certainty. God's wings are stretched over you, guarding your dreams, calming your fears, and guiding you gently into peace. There is a gentle truth often forgotten in the noise of daily life. Sleep is not a luxury earned by accomplishment, but a sacred gift lovingly given by God to every soul in need. When anxiety swirls in the darkness and your thoughts cling tightly to all that remains unresolved, remember this: God's message today is not one of striving, but of surrender. Sleep is His invitation to release, to rest, to be held. Night prayer for anxiety becomes your doorway to peace, a holy moment when you no longer carry the weight of the world alone. Imagine the giver of all life, who never slumbers, softly saying, "My beloved, let go. Sleep is my promise to you," a sign that you are cherished and protected, even when your hands are no longer working to hold everything together. Sleeplessness does not disqualify you from this grace. It draws you near to the one whose presence is steady, whose comfort never fades, even in the darkest hour. Let this night become a sacred act of receiving. As you settle under the covers, let Christian meditation for sleep create space for God's presence to calm your restless thoughts. Pope Leo the Cordrest once said that real rest is not found in escape, but in embracing the divine presence that meets you in the silence with healing. Every breath you take becomes a prayer of release. Exhale God's kindness. Exhale the burden of self-reliance. The Psalms remind us that the shepherd prepares green pastures and still waters even while we sleep, offering blessings we cannot see but are always unfolding. Let go of guilt for every tossed and turned hour, and instead let gratitude become the pillow beneath your head. You do not need to be perfect to receive rest. You only need to be willing to be loved and held by the one who gives it freely. What would it mean to welcome sleep tonight? Not as something to earn, but as a holy gift. Can you sense where God is inviting you to lay down your burdens and simply rest in His care? It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so He giveth His beloved sleep. Psalm 127:2, KJV. If your heart is ready to receive this gift, type rest in the comments, or offer a prayer for another soul still reaching for peace. Stay with me in this gentle journey. Let each word, each pause, draw you deeper into the arms of God. Tonight, let sleep no longer be elusive, but a sacred embrace from the one who watches over you with unfailing love. The urge to control tomorrow's outcomes often lingers long after the lights go out, turning your pillow into a battlefield of anxious thoughts. Yet God's message tonight is steady and sure. You are not required to hold together what only He is meant to carry. You don't need to orchestrate every detail of the future to be safe in the present. Night prayer for anxiety becomes a quiet surrender, a sacred act of releasing the burden of what's unfinished, uncertain, or overwhelming. Christian meditation for sleep opens a refuge where you lay down your plans and allow the shepherd to lead you into peace. Psalm 23 and Psalm 91 remind us that rest does not come from understanding everything, but from trusting the one who does. The world may suggest that sleeplessness means you're losing control, but God says it is a holy moment, an invitation to receive His calm, His nearness, and His wisdom that surpasses all your understanding. As you breathe deeply, envision placing each worry about tomorrow into God's hands. Every anxious plan, unresolved decision, and silent fear. Dr. Anita Phillips gently teaches that healing begins not when certainty is found, but when we choose grace in the midst of uncertainty. God's message today is not that you must pretend life is easy, but that you are never alone in the difficulty. Surrender becomes the soft path into restful sleep, a quiet but powerful declaration that you trust God's goodness is already going before you. Peace doesn't come from mastering every possibility, but from knowing you are held by love that never sleeps, watched over through the silence of the night. Let this moment be your turning point, from trying to predict the future to trusting the God who already holds it. What would shift within you if you truly let go of control tonight and place tomorrow into God's care? Can you feel the tension loosen as you rest in the truth that God says you are never abandoned? Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. Proverbs 3:5-6 KJV. If tonight you are releasing control and choosing rest, type rest below, or lift a prayer for someone else, learning to surrender. Stay with me in this quiet space. Let each breath, each sacred word, soften the grip of anxiety. And as you close your eyes, know this: the God who carried you today will be there tomorrow, leading you forward in love, one step at a time. There are nights when the weight of worry presses so heavily that every heartbeat feels like a silent cry for reassurance. In these vulnerable moments, God's message is not one of rebuke or shame, but of gentle covering, a sacred reminder that you are never left exposed to the darkness. Night prayer for anxiety is not simply an act of desperation, but a holy encounter where God's presence becomes your shield and your song. Picture His hands resting softly over your heart, steadying your breath and quieting the ache that keeps you awake. Sleepless hours may whisper that you are forgotten, but Christian meditation for sleep is your invitation to receive the deeper truth. You are cherished, protected, and surrounded by love that never sleeps. Psalm 91 declares that angels are given charge over you, and Psalm 23 promises that goodness and mercy follow you even through the longest night. God's message tonight is quiet and near. I am closer than your fears. I am holding you. Let divine reassurance settle over you like a soft blanket as you rest. Pope Leo K3 reminds us that true comfort is not found in the removal of struggle, but in God's steadfast presence within it. Lisa Bevere teaches that real courage is the decision to trust in God's covering love, even when circumstances remain the same. As you meditate tonight, breathe in the promise of God's message today. You are covered. You are safe. You are seen. Every anxious prayer is answered by peace that transcends understanding, a calm certainty that you do not have to hold yourself together tonight. The sleepless night is not evidence of God's absence. It is an opening to feel the shepherd's closeness as He watches over you. Release your expectations, your striving, your fear, and simply rest in the truth that divine protection is your inheritance, always available to you as His beloved. Where in your heart do you most need reassurance tonight? How might it change your rest to truly allow God's covering to settle over your thoughts and emotions? He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Psalm 91:11 KJV. If you are seeking this reassurance, type rest below, or offer a word of comfort for another soul searching for peace. Stay with me on this sacred journey. Let every prayer, every quiet surrender draw you nearer to the heart of God, where all fear is met with divine love, and every restless night is gently held in His mercy. Even in the long hours when sleep feels impossibly distant and your thoughts spiral in anxious circles, God's promise remains constant and sure. You are never forsaken, and His love endures through every sleepless night. Night prayer for anxiety is not about forcing peace upon yourself, but gently receiving God's message where you are most vulnerable. These words are not an indictment of failure if rest escapes you. They are reminders that God's faithfulness is measured not by how quickly you sleep, but by His unwavering presence beside you. God says tonight that His commitment to you is unbreakable. He is guarding your heart and mind through the hours of darkness. Psalm 23 assures you that the shepherd leads, even in the deepest valleys. And Psalm 91 promises divine protection that surrounds you even when you cannot feel it. God's message today is gentle and unwavering. His promise still holds, and even in the dark, He is quietly preparing new mercies for your morning. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that rest is not just about closing your eyes. It is a sacred posture of trust, believing that you are kept, cherished, and watched over by the One who never sleeps. Tonight, let Christian meditation for sleep draw you into this holy awareness. Let your breath slow and your muscles loosen as your spirit settles into the truth that you are not alone. Many hearts are walking through this same night, each one held in the vast compassion of God. Your sleeplessness is not wasted. It becomes a sacred space where the nearness of God is felt more deeply. Every anxious prayer, every silent tear is seen and met with the tenderness of a Father who promises to restore your soul. The night does not diminish His love. It becomes a canvas for grace, where peace begins to unfold, even in the stillness of waiting. How have sleepless nights affected your sense of God's closeness or love? What might shift in your spirit if you accepted His promise as true, even when sleep does not come? For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee. Isaiah 41:13 KJV. If this brings comfort to your heart, type rest below or pray for someone else walking through the night. Stay here with me. Let every word and prayer draw you deeper into the peace God offers. Even in sleeplessness, you are never forgotten, never alone, and never outside the reach of the God who holds your hand and walks with you through the dark. There is a sacred promise woven into every sunrise, that no matter how long the night or how heavy your anxieties, peace and renewal are waiting for you at dawn. God's message today is a gentle reassurance. You are not defined by your sleepless hours or anxious prayers, but by the new mercies that greet you each morning. Night prayer for anxiety is not just preparation for rest, but an awakening to the quiet truth that God's love is tireless and His faithfulness unfailing. As darkness lifts, picture God's arms enfolding you with hope, softly whispering that yesterday's burdens do not need to follow you into this day. Psalm 23 echoes this promise. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Every tear, every hour of waiting becomes a sacred seed, planted in the soil of the night, and now blooming into peace and purpose with the light of morning. With the arrival of a new day, breathe in the promise of a sacred reset. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that real peace is not the absence of struggle, but the quiet confidence that you are never alone. Christian meditation for sleep has softened your soul through the night, and now you rise renewed, more aware of God's nearness, more assured of His provision. The anxieties that once felt overwhelming have become stepping stones of faith. Each worry surrendered in prayer is now a testimony to your trust in God's message. He invites you to move forward, not in fear, but in gentle strength, knowing you are held, cherished, and carried. Even if rest was scarce, renewal is still yours. God's message today sings quietly over your life. You are embraced, and the peace you seek is already walking beside you into this new day. In what ways does the light of morning help you reinterpret the struggles of the night? How can you carry the peace of night prayer into the unfolding hours ahead? It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Lamentations 3:22-23, KJV. If you wake with a sense of renewal, type rest in the comments, or offer a prayer of hope for others who are beginning again. Stay with me as our journey nears its close. Let the renewal of each morning remind you that God's peace is steadfast, meeting you again and again, exactly where you need it most. There is a deep sacredness to sleep, a holy surrender that requires only your trust. In a world that celebrates endless striving and relentless control, God's message today is a tender reminder. You are allowed to rest, to let go, and to receive his healing. Night prayer for anxiety invites you to this sacred threshold, where sleep becomes more than a physical necessity. It becomes a quiet act of faith. As you lay down, imagine placing each worry and unanswered question into the hands of the one who never slumbers. Psalm 91 offers refuge. Psalm 23 promises green pastures, and Christian meditation for sleep transforms your bed into a sanctuary of divine presence. God does not ask for perfection. He delights in your surrender, meeting you in the stillness between every breath, assuring you that your worth is found not in control, but in your willingness to be held. Let each inhale be a silent prayer. God, I give you what I cannot carry. Let each exhale release anxiety, a soft yielding into the arms of peace. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing often begins in the smallest choices, the decision to rest, the whisper of a prayer in the dark. Lisa Bevere teaches that surrender is strength, and Pope Leo XIV's wisdom echoes that true peace is found not in circumstances, but in the presence of a loving God. Tonight, let sleep become your sacred offering, a quiet act of trust that God is working in ways you cannot yet see. Healing may not arrive all at once, but each night of surrendered rest draws you closer to wholeness. God's message still stands. You are not alone, and even now his love is restoring what anxiety has tried to steal. How might your night change if you viewed sleep as a sacred act of surrender instead of something to achieve? Can you believe that God's healing is already moving through your soul even now? I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8, KJV. If you are surrendering anxiety and welcoming healing rest, type rest below, or offer a prayer for someone else in need of peace. Remain with me as we approach the benediction of this journey. Let every word, every quiet breath, guide you deeper into the gentle healing and divine assurance that only God's presence can bring. As the final quiet of night gives way to the soft glow of dawn, receive this benediction, a sacred conclusion to every anxious prayer and sleepless hour you have endured. God's message today is not only that you are watched over, but that you are deeply treasured, not only soothed, but restored to wholeness. Night prayer for anxiety has been your gentle path, leading you step by step into the shelter of the Most High, where divine peace has poured over every restless thought and fearful heart. You have walked through shadow and uncertainty, but now you stand embraced by the unchanging light of God's love. Psalm 91 promises your safety. Psalm 23 assures your provision, and with every breath, you are reminded, God says you are his beloved. Let this be a sacred pause, a moment to feel the holy weight of being truly seen and cherished. Every weakness wrapped in mercy, every fear calmed by the tenderness of the Father's heart. What haunted you through the night is now met by a peace not dependent on circumstances, but anchored in the nearness of God. Let gratitude well up within you as you open your eyes to a new day, carrying the memory of God's faithfulness from night into morning. Dr. Anita Phillips encourages us to recognize even the smallest signs of healing. to honor the courage it took to hope and pray through the darkness. Lisa Bevere reminds us that waking up loved is the true foundation for lasting confidence. And Pope Leo Cactoris's wisdom assures us that peace is the birthright of every soul who surrenders to God's gentle care. This journey through the night was never wasted. It has become the starting point of a deeper spiritual awakening, one where morning prayer and daily trust guide each new step. How can you let the certainty of God's love carry you into today? In what ways might you become a vessel of peace for someone still searching for rest? Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23:6 KJV. If you rise renewed, type rest below, or offer a word of blessing for someone still waiting to feel safe. Walk boldly into this day, rooted in the quiet confidence that comes from being intimately known and deeply loved by God. Let this benediction of peace remain with you, a lasting reminder that no matter what the night may hold, you can always awaken whole, safe, and wrapped in the everlasting arms of your shepherd.